Decoding Body Language with David Allen. David, good morning and welcome. I've been following you for quite some time on social media, and I noticed yesterday, actually, that you've just come back from the States, where you've been speaking to and presenting to a whole bunch of law enforcement agencies about body language. So I decided, let me contact you, and here we are, a full day later. Thank you so much.
Rian, thank you very much for the opportunity. I also follow you on the socials, and what you do also inspires me. So when you phoned yesterday, I was actually very excited to have this conversation. So thank you.
Well, I'm very glad to hear that. And as it stands, I do like talking about body language because it is, I mean, it's the unspoken language, but I think it is the most interesting language out of all of them out there. And one that it's pretty profound if you start looking into it. And you've clearly made quite an in-depth study. I mean, you've even written a book about the subject. So what made you, I just want to check with you, what got you to the point of deciding I'm going to write a book about this?
My first book was actually on leadership, and I was asked to kind of look at running a second book on leadership, and body language was just going to be a certain chapter in it. And then when we started looking at it, we realized this is actually a whole chapter on its own. A lot of it is from my background as a police reservist, so some of the training that we kind of received 30 years ago when I first joined. And then a lot of those techniques I kind of brought into the corporate world, because as a reservist, I still run my own programs, my own camps. I do leadership courses with school kids and with corporates. And I kind of noticed that the techniques that we were being taught on the policing front had value on the in the business world, on that corporate front. So that's kind of how I started getting into it and started marrying the two together. And the next step was to put all my thoughts and experiences into a book.
So let's take a bit of a deep dive into that book and the info contained in it. You've now said before that small body movements reveal big thoughts. How much of what humans communicate is truly nonverbal or nonverbal, and what are some of the subtle clues that we often miss that reveal what someone is truly thinking or feeling?
I love meeting people for the first time, because the moment someone says, hi, so Dave, what do you do for a living? And I say, well, I'm a body language expert. You kind of see how uncomfortable they get very quickly. Like, oh, that's nice. Because all of a sudden, they're aware of the signals they thought they were giving off. All of a sudden, they realize, what was I signaling? What is this guy reading? What's going on? And it doesn't quite work like that. So we'll go into that a bit more today. But people realize straight away that they have been giving signals off with their body language. And when you can pick up on the signals people give with their body language, every moment you spend with them becomes a lot more valuable and meaningful. And if we're in business, becomes a lot more profitable. And if we're in law enforcement or survival, a lone survivor setting can also help keep us safe, picking up on some of these signals. Pretty much, and I'm generalizing here, some people have like 11% or 12, but 10% of what we communicate, of what I like to call the impacted communication, 10% is verbal. So 10% is your words. 20 to 30% is the tone of your voice. Tone of voice is very impactful. That means 60 to 70% is nonverbal. It's the way we talk, the way we move, the way we stand. I mean, if I started this whole session and you said, hi, this is David, and I literally looked away and went, hi, I'm Dave. I'm happy to be talking to you today. Thanks for the invitation. I would have lost you completely. My words are phenomenal. My words are saying everything, but you want my tone of voice needs to be able to come up and down, and my body language comes in. I mean, a classic example. On Saturday, you want to go and watch the rugby at the pub with your friends, but you kind of promised your wife that you'd stay at home, and you kind of ask the question, no, babes, do you mind if I go down to the pub to watch the rugby? And you get the, That's fine. If you want to go,
Oh,
then go.
yeah.
I mean, the words have like, oh, wow, you've given me permission. Thank you, babes. I love you so much. The words have said yes. The body language have said, you're in the biggest load of trouble if you want to go down to the pub tonight.
I'll be waiting for you when you come back.
You on the couch that night. And
Yeah.
that is a classic example of how much more we communicate with our body language as opposed to just words, you know, and we do it without thinking. See, that's the thing about it. You kind of watch the cues people give off. They're doing it unprepared. It's a natural response. So I mean, your words, you're kind of thinking about what am I going to say here?
Yes.
But your body language kind of gives off your true intent very often.
Yeah, even the way you look at people can be either. I actually saw. Honestly, I only watched a little bit of it because I was in a bit of a rush. But I saw a video
Yes.
of a guy. I don't know where it is in the States somewhere. And what he was doing is he was approaching people on the street, and all he was saying was "Good morning." So he first approached people in a very sort of neutral, like "Good morning" voice to see what they say. And everybody that he approached just gave him the side eye and walked past. And he said, okay, now I'm going to change the tone of my voice. And then he went like, "Hi, good morning, good morning." And pretty much everybody greeted him back, just like that. So that was very interesting to me. And it says a lot. I mean, you know, your body language, the way if you glare at somebody, you go, "Morning."
Yes.
Then if that happens to me, I'm almost going to start looking over my shoulder, like if you've got somebody behind me that's going to whack me with a cricket bat. By the way, you're looking at me like that.
Yes.
Because people can find it, and you know, people can be easily offended depending on what kind of a day they're having. So keeping the way you look at them, especially if you go to the pub to go watch the rugby, and it's here by the second half. And they've had a couple of brandies, and maybe the Bulls are losing. If you look at people the wrong way, then you know, then you're gonna find out some lessons soon.
You're going to get in trouble very quickly. Yes. Yes.
Yes, definitely. Dave, tell me. I want to talk more about commanding respect. We saw a very, very viral example a couple of days ago when Donald Trump shook the hand of the French president. I take it you've seen that handshake.
Yes.
I don't know. I can't quite figure out if that is too much or too little, depending on what you think of the situation. But for me, when you look at that, he certainly owned his own space by doing that in the biggest possible fashion. I mean, that was a statement. So how can understanding and controlling body language help you project things like confidence? It's very specifically in high stakes kind of situations, or maybe even potentially confrontational situations. And then on the flip side of that coin, how can you spot deception or discomfort in others? Because that's equally as important.
Very nice. So if we look at power, how to kind of walk into the room and have that commanding presence. How do we arrive at a situation like I'm in charge here? I mean, as a police reservist, for example, I come into a situation, a domestic violence situation, I've got to come in and kind of get respect from the people around so I can hopefully take charge of that situation that I'm in. I'm in a business meeting. I want to present my ideas across. Again, I've got to walk through that door and people are going to know, hey, I trust Dave. Dave looks like he knows what he's talking about. And as my dad always used to say, if you can't do a job, at least look like you can do the job. And that comes down to that first point of dress, one level higher than what the situation commands. So dress does become important. I mean, right now, you and I have come through. You've asked me to run this session. I'm in the comfort of my own home. As you mentioned, I'm kind of tired after traveling. My dress code would have easily been a t-shirt, because I'm comfortable around the house in a t-shirt. That would have been my dress code from this morning, and it is my dress code for today. I've got a relaxing day ahead of me. However, I'm not going to talk about body language. I've got to seem to be the perceived authority in the room on the subject. So I will dress one level higher than what the situation. So if I had a golf shirt on, that would have been acceptable, but I'll go one level higher and I'll have a button-up shirt. So I'm one level higher than the situation. If I came on here in a suit and tie, I actually would have lost your respect. You would have said, "Oh, Dave, he's trying so hard. Why is he trying to?" But if I came in here and vest in a shorts, you'd be like, "Well, Dave, come on, can't you take this thing seriously?" So dress one level higher than what the situation commands. Most people want to blend in. You want to stand out slightly so you can be that authority in the room. Number two, take up more space. When we're scared, when we're nervous, we naturally shrink. We naturally kind of get a little bit smaller. We make ourselves smaller. So you actually want to take up more space. When I talk to students at schools, like grade 12 students, and they're going to have to go for a job interview next year or apply to university, and I always tell them, your natural thing when you're waiting outside the door is to kind of, you're going to find yourself shrinking because you're waiting longer and you're getting more nervous, and you kind of, at that point, sit up straight. Breathe in, get chest out, shoulders back, that idea of sitting up, because this gives you a lot more feeling of power. Now, when you walk in for the interview, you've already got a sense of power behind you. You've got that self-confidence that comes through. Your third one is that plutonic touch. It's just that extra, as if I shake someone's hand, I shake and I put my hand on their shoulder, or I kind of cup their arm a little bit. It's that extra little, hey, I'm in charge. A lot of people are scared of touching because we're not sure if we're allowed. And the fact that again, you got to, I'm not saying touch and caress someone's shoulder. That's not what I'm talking about. Literally, it's that shake, it's that quick, hey, how you doing? Nice to meet you. It's that quick extra. And Donald Trump does do that quite a bit. You'll see him cup an arm, you'll cup a hand. It just gives it, hey, I'm more confident in what I'm doing. Your fourth point is never allow yourself to be cut off mid-sentence. So while people are talking to you, like you running a podcast here now, for example, if you interject with something, I would want to try and finish my sentence. Okay. So I keep it with me. So if we were arguing about something, for example, and you interjected, I don't have to finish my story, but I finish the sentence, because whoever's speaking actually has the authority, and most people will back off straight away. And then I'm actually giving all the authority to the person that I was arguing with. So finish your sentence. On the handshake one, a standard handshake is, I can see your feet, and it's going to be like a standard, what we call a webby to webby, and you connect webbies and you shake hands. Standard up and down is the normal, is that norm, okay? If I turn my hand slightly over onto the top, I'm assuming a dominating position, okay? If I put, and I would also then, because again, if we shook hands, if I am 40 centimeters from my shoulder to the arm, you would be also about 40 centimeters from your shoulder to your arm. But if I pull you in, so now you 60 centimeters and I'm 20 centimeters, I'm pulling you into my area. You with me? So it's also a small thing. I pull you into my area and I turn my hand over. That's that dominant handshake. Okay. And it's very interesting. So I think someone's trained, a lot of politicians do body language training. Trump just overdoes it sometimes. So he really pulls it in and comes through. But it's interesting when he's going to go talk to someone and he wants to have, when he actually wants something from them. So he's trying to get a concession. He's trying to be very polite. You'll notice he actually turns his hand underneath to show that that person is in charge of this conversation. So you'll actually notice, depending on who he talks to, I'm trying to, you are now going to do what I say, or, hey, I actually want your help with this situation. And he subtly turns his hand under towards the person. So those are a couple of little body language points and word points, and to kind of be a bit of the authority in the room. The last one of that is always compliment your competition. Never criticize. If someone had to come to you and say, hey, I've heard that these guys were offering this type of training, you would say, oh, wonderful. I know about them. They do a wonderful job. This is how they do things. And that they do this and this very nicely. But here at Fortis, we do something slightly different. And you put in your standpoints. Because now you seem like you're the authority in the room. You understand there, but this is why you appreciate your side better. It's as a car salesman. If you came to ask me if I'm trying to sell you a car, and I've just been at that dealership, and you went, that's the worst kind of brand. Only idiots would actually buy those type of cars. I'd actually lose your respect because I'm very opinionated on one side. But the moment I say, hey, great dealership, I know Bob, he's a good friend. Those cars, the leather is phenomenal. The sound system, unbelievable. And I really appreciate that. But with our vehicles, we got a good, strong, hard suspension. I know that you drive on a dirt road. This is what we would offer. I now seem to be the authority in the room. You actually even if you don't buy a car from me now, you always come back to me for my opinion about things later. So don't always you compliment your competition, as opposed to always criticizing your competition.
Yes.
On the deception.
David, can I just say you're doing very well this fall. Thank you.
Thank you very much. On the deception, now we kind of looked at how to project a bit of power and a bit of authority. On the deception part, what we're picking up on, we're not actually picking up if people are lying. What we're picking up on is how comfortable or uncomfortable someone is. So body language is often seen as a junk science. And I'm the first to admit it's 100%. I mean, just because you scratch the back of the neck, yes, there are certain things it could be, but it might just be that you slept wrong and you got a creak in your neck. And, it's not an exact. It is often said to be a junk science. So you want to put a couple of things together as you're observing someone, okay? Mm-hmm. If I had to ask you, are you in Cape Town at the moment? Okay, it's a yes or no question. If you said to me yes or no, I've got a 50-50 chance of, is Rian lying? Is he not lying? I've got a 50-50 chance. In asking a few questions and picking up on some of your body language, it's not going to get me to 100% knowing what your answer is. But I've got a 70 to even 80% chance of saying, listen, if I had to guess, judging on his body language and his answers, I don't think he's based in Cape Town. You know what I mean? I would be able to pick up on some of the points. Now, some of the things we're looking at, number one, because you're nervous, so we're picking up on people being nervous or comfortable or uncomfortable, your pulse rate increases, so your blink rate increases. This is a big one to pick up on. You'll notice when a politician gets asked a certain question, you'll start to see them, when they're nervous about the question, their blink rate starts to accelerate. So again, someone's coming up to you, their pulse rate starting to increase a little bit. They're a bit nervous. Because they also, in them attacking you, they're also nervous about, hey, are they going to be caught to us as a round if it's not on their turf as such? So you're going to notice someone's blink rate starts to increase as someone is now uncomfortable or a little bit more nervous. So blink rate. Second one, you want to look at the eyes. If I'm honestly trying to recall a memory, I'm honestly trying to recall someone, I would look up and to the left. If I asked you to think of the color of your carpet down the passageway, you would notice your eyes were actually, in order to recall that, you would, and obviously now I'm looking to my left, but the video would invert it, so to have me looking the other way. I would be looking to my left when I'm trying to honestly recall a memory. So if I had to ask someone a question and I see their eyes go up and to the left, they're honestly trying to tell me the truth. They're trying to be honest with me. That's their attempt at being truthful. Something called distancing. This is a big one. When we're scared, when we're uncomfortable, we try to put something between us and what's making us nervous. So when we were at school and you had to give your Afrikaans oral and you didn't prepare for your oral, You would hide behind your piece of paper, make yourself as small as possible because you're nervous about, you want to put a barrier between yourself and what's making you nervous. So a guest speaker, initially I might come out, if there's a big audience, I get nervous initially because I mean, it's scary being a public speaker. I might stand behind a podium because I want to put a barrier between us. And as my confidence came up, I would then come out from behind the barrier. Okay. So when I've trained people at passport control, for example, if someone puts a passport down and then steps back slightly, that's that distancing part. So if you the detective and I was a suspect, and you've had me in your interrogation room, we'd have a whole conversation about the rugby, the weather. You've built what we call a rapport. So you got comfortable. I'm leaning forward. I'm engaged in the conversation, and we've had a wonderful 15-minute chat about life. But now you want to get to the crux. You want to know, Dave, where were you on Friday night? Can you ask me?
Dave, where were you on Friday night?
Oh, Friday night. You want to know where I was on Friday? You see, I've distanced myself from the question. Hey, we spoke about rugby. Yeah, and I'm interested, and we're talking about it, and I'm there, and oh, yeah. Oh, why do you want to know about Friday? And I've kind of distanced myself from that question. So distancing is a nice way of someone, and distancing can just be going on the heels of your feet. You're standing up, but now you put a bit of weight back. Okay. So distancing is one of the things I'm going to watch out for. Another one is what we call your self-touch gesture. When we're scared, when we're nervous, we love it. We love physical touch. We love it when someone else will kind of say, hey, Dave, you've got this. You're fine. You can do this. We love that physical touch. That gives us that reassurance. If there's no one else around to give us that reassurance, we do it to ourselves. It's that self-touch gesture. You'll find someone kind of moving their hands, the back of their neck, rubbing their arms. That's that self-touch gesture. Okay. You'll also see the mouth dries up. When someone's scared, when someone's nervous, they're going to be drinking quite a bit of stuff. Old school detective, Captain Mazabuko, he taught me this. He said, Alan, every time I put a suspect in front of me, I always put a big glass of water down. And depending as to how much water this guy drinks during the course, it's a good indication as to how nervous or how. But again, junk science. So he has to know, hey, it's 40 degrees outside. I'm going to give Dave a chance to, he might be dehydrated. And then only once he's relaxed and the rapport's built up, he'll fill up the water and then see how nervous. So these are good techniques. Even, I mean, you guys do a lot of training. Your training is phenomenal. I love watching your videos and I love watching your training. But now you got an instructor that's coming out and you got someone and the instructor says, hey, have you shot before? And the guy's like, yeah, no, I shoot all the time. But, but the moment you put the guns down and starts loading the ammo, you can kind of distance himself a bit. Or, okay, guys, we're going to go out onto the range now and shoot. And you kind of see, oh, okay, I'm ready. And the back of the neck gets wiped, or all of a sudden a lot of water needs to be drunk. At that point, the instructor would kind of be able to pick up, he is a little bit nervous. And that's fine. And guns go bang and it's not for everyone and people are going to be a bit nervous. But just in that instance, your instructor, being good at what he does, can kind of walk over, picking up the signs that this guy's a bit nervous. Let me put my hand and say, hey, you got this, everything is fine. I'll be right behind you. Dave, if you need anything, I'm here for you. And that would just reassure me as the nervous student, So the application for this is applied from law enforcement to business to right through. My personal favorite on picking up on deception is when someone repeats the question. Oh, Friday. You want to know where I was on Friday? Because you're trying to delay. You're trying to give yourself time to think of the right answer. So you're delaying that. So it's a delaying technique. It's also a bit of a.
It's a bit like it's in essence also creating space just in your mind to give you some thinking.
Exactly that. It is that form of distancing. You also notice when distancing can be used with words. When Bill Clinton said his famous thing of, I did not have sexual relations with that woman, he used the word that. He's distancing himself as opposed to, saying her name. Do you understand? It's trying to distance yourself away. So words also can play into that distancing I'm trying to put aside.
Okay, excuse me. Leadership through presence. I mean, you've now trained leaders, not only in South Africa, Switzerland, the US, all over, police units, universities, youth programs. What are the key body language traits and communication habits that define effective leaders? Because you get leaders and you get leaders. Whether they are managing a team at a corporation or a small business, whether they are raising their children, because you are the leader of that little pack, or whether they are doing something where they are leading under pressure.
So people are not going to remember what you did. They remember how you made them feel. And to be that leader in the room when you walk in, again, similar to that power thing, people are going to judge you in the first 30 seconds. So the moment you meet someone for the first time, you would have judged them in the first 30 seconds. We will have an opinion about someone in the first 30 seconds. Someone watching this interview would have seen me and actually decided first 30 seconds, is Dave going to be interesting, not interesting? I'll give him a little bit more time. And you would judge me in the first 30 seconds. We judge people in the first 30 seconds. When you meet someone for the first time, pretty much that first 30 seconds, you place them into one of 5 categories. Your first category is your trust category. That's when you meet someone for the first time. I like this person. I trust this person. Also known as a friendship category. I would go and have a cup of coffee with this person. I'd exchange their number. So it's the friendship or your trust category. Your second category is predator. So when you're walking down the street, I walk on the other side. I do not trust this person. There's something about this person that just, or that, you know what, if I was dying in the desert, I wouldn't buy water from this person. And this is the part that I often say to ladies, especially in a self-defense situation or combat situation. You've got, in that first 30 seconds, something has told you this guy's not right. There's something wrong. The problem is society also conditions us to be polite, which there is something to that. I'm not saying be rude to everyone. There's some things society says, I've still got to be polite and say hello. But I always tell ladies, listen to that first gut. That first 30 seconds came out that said, I don't trust this person. Remember that when you're now being asked, can I have your number, or can I go for a cup of coffee? The politeness, remember that first 30 seconds, go with your gut. Your third category is what I like to call your cute category. That's when you find someone cute. You would be attracted to someone, and chances are you'd be sexually attracted to someone. That's why you might prefer someone taller, someone shorter, someone with a sense of humor, someone that's mean. It's what you look for in a mate. That is why you can have your best friend in the world. You've known each other since you were small. You're in each other's trust categories forever. But then they start dating someone. And you're like, what the hell do you see in this person? I don't understand. And that, like your personality, but this person you're dating, I don't. And that is because your friendship categories were aligned, but what you look for in a mate is different. Your fourth category, and this is our default category. So the vast majority of people we meet goes into this category. It's indifferent. We don't really care. Not that we're rude, but I mean, if I ask you to please describe the lady that served you at Spa yesterday, would you be able to do it? And you'd be like, or the guy that filled in petrol even this morning, could you do it? And you'd be like, and you are well trained in observation, you're well trained in stuff. We often teach, like situational awareness, but I can't recall what the person looked like. Not that we were rude. We actually said, hey, keep the change. And we were very polite. But I can't recall what everyone looks like all the time.
Yes.
And so vast majority of people, default category is indifferent. Your fifth category is what I call idiot. That's when you meet someone for the first time, the cap is on sideways, they're lying back, you kind of get a fist bump, and you just, because you look at this person like, I'm not trusting them. I'm not scared of them. I'm not dating that. There's no ways I'm dating this person. They're not indifferent, because I'm going to remember you, but I'm going to remember you as an idiot. I'm not going to remember you in any other So I've got to get into someone's trust category. If I walk in law enforcement, walk into the room, again, I want the people in that room to trust me. You trying to get clients through, you want people to trust you, trust instructors. I mean, you want to get into that trust category. So a couple of things you got to do. Number one, when you speak, again, don't talk with your hands in front of your mouth, because that's part of that distancing. And although this is comfortable, you can't see my mouth, so you don't trust what it is that I'm saying.
Yeah.
So again, although this is comfortable to talk in, what I'd say is that, sorry, let me rewind. And if you make a bad first 30 seconds impression, you actually have to spend up to 2 hours uninterrupted with that person to get them to change their opinion. That's the importance of that first 30 seconds.
2 hours. Wow.
2 hours. So right now, hopefully I'm in your trust category. So I can, during this conversation, I could now lean back and I could now change my body language because I'm already in the trust category. So the point I'm trying to make is I'm not saying never talk like this, but in that first 30 seconds, even up to when I like to do 5 minutes, secure yourself in the trust category. Don't talk like this. I know that comes in because sometimes we often in the tactical training space, we kind of talk here because I want to be able to hit away and draw my weapon. This is a good, and yes, there are good reasons to kind of have your hands, but the point I'm trying to make is in that first 30 seconds or up to 5 minutes, try and talk with your hands here as opposed to over your mouth. Okay. Then as you're talking, keep your hands between your neck and your belly button. Speak here. If you keep your hands low, you put people to sleep. If you keep your hands up, it's almost aggressive. So talk with your hands between your neck and your belly button. Use open palm gestures. So I would, if I'm pointing at something like I'm a salesperson, I'm trying to sell you this painting, I'd be like, hey, this is one of the best paintings we have, and I think you should buy it. It's an open palm because it's a lot more friendlier than this. It's a bit more aggressive. So someone comes to your company and says, where's the bathroom or where's reception? Yes, sir. Round the corner, it's over there. It's on the other side because that's a lot friendlier than this. Or yeah, it's over there, an open palm gesture. So again, salesperson, guys, this is the best painting and I should think that you should buy it. And you want to be able to use an open palm on it. Okay. Now, the moment I nodded my head, you started nodding your head because you're mirroring my body language. You're in my trust category. Yep. So you're going to subconsciously agree with what it is I'm saying. So again, even though, I mean, if you watch the video, there will be a slight delay in it. But the moment I kind of said, hey, you would now start to nod your head because you're mirroring that body language. There it goes. So again, a teacher, for example, guys, this is the homework. Please get your homework in. And it's going to move her head slightly up and down to get you to subconsciously agree with what it is that they're saying. An instructor on the range coming into your kind of setting.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, that works. It works on the range where you have to, you have to get people's trust, especially the first time that they're on a range or any training local with you.
Yes.
You have to work to get their trust and establish yourself in that category so that people look up to you.
Nice. So the main part of getting into someone's trust category is you want to make them feel like it's their birthday, like it's their wedding day. You're greeting them, you're leaning forward slightly, you smile. Smiling is contagious. When I smile at you, okay, you smile back. There's positive endorphins coming. You feel good about yourself. You associate me with that good feeling. You trust me a bit more. So smiling is important. Then I also look at the importance of that greeting. If I asked you how you want to be treated, one person will say, I want to be treated well, but 99.9% of people will say, I want to be treated with respect. And it's the one thing every single person on the planet wants, but it's one thing we actually fail to show one another. But everyone defines respect differently. But the two things that we both agree on, good part of respect, is greeting, good part of respect, manners, good part of respect. So when I come up, I'll make sure that when I greet someone, okay, webby to webby, firm handshake, look them in the eyes. If you're wearing sunglasses, lift your sunglasses up. I can't look at you in the eyes if you've got sunglasses on. Look in the eyes is vitally important. I mean, in the old days, the knights, they would be jousting, and they covered from head to toe in armor. But before they would joust, they wanted to be able to look at their opponents in the eyes and say, I see you, I respect you, but I don't fear you. The problem is they're wearing this helmet. So before they would joust, they'd lift the visor of the helmet, make eye contact with their opponent, and put the visor back down. And that is actually where we get saluting from today. It's the idea of I lift the visor, make eye contact, and I put the visor back down.
Yes.
Where saluting comes from. So again, I greet someone, I lift my sunglasses up. If I got a cap on, I take my cap off. If I got a cap and sunglasses, then it's one or the other, because otherwise you're trying to juggle and it becomes messy. So then I just tell people, just take your cap off. And again, as a salesperson, me out on camp, a teacher comes to have a look at our facilities. When I go outside, I make sure I've got my cap on, because there's nothing more impressive from a respect perspective. Walking up to someone and say, morning, sir, welcome to our camp. My name's David. How can I help you? And again, so your instructors, for example, that importance of, and it seems like such a simple thing, but when it comes to manners, if you looked out of your window right now at a car park and you saw a gentleman come up, open up the car door for his wife to sit in, how would you describe that gentleman to me? You would straight away, you would be impressed. You'd be like, that's a guy with honor. That's a guy of integrity. That's a guy I can trust category is straight away where he goes into, trust category. Or from watching someone across a car park open a car door. People forget the importance of manners. And when I talk to teenagers, they kind of say, but that's old school manners. And I say, no, there's no such thing as old school manners. It's just manners. And as we start to bring that in, it does help to get into that trust category of just having manners.
That's very interesting. While you were talking, something popped up in my mind when we were on the part about instructors specifically now, and the trust part and so on. I once did a training course. It's a small town in the northwest, and I can't remember the name now. But I was standing at the door, and this was for ladies. They came filing past, and two of them stopped. I was saying hello to everybody as they went in. Two of them stopped at me, looked at me like this. The one said to me, "Oh, I trust you." And I looked at her and I said, "Okay, why do you say that? Explain it to me." And she said, "Oh, you've got grey hair. You're not a youngster. You know what you're talking about." So I said, "Okay, well, I'll take that."
Yes.
So that happened. I don't know how that features on your list, but that's an experience that I had because I've got grey hair. I figured I'm not a youngster standing there trying to just tell them stuff. I've been there, I've seen things, I've done. Now I'm conveying the knowledge. So I suppose that can help in some way. In any case, Dave, we face a world today on a daily basis. Quite frankly, often it feels a little bit off kilter and crazy to me. We face conflict, we face criticism, we face very toxic energy, literally on a daily basis, everywhere. How can I use body language and mindset to diffuse tension and help me hold my ground, keep my composure, because that's also important, without escalating situations?
Perfect. So there's one thing that I do in my leadership class very often. I'll get someone to come up, and I don't explain what I'm doing. I don't explain why I'm doing it. I kind of get a young man to come up, and I'll just say, listen, can you just stand here next to me? And I actually put my hand on their back. And then I'll just say, I just want to measure out this room. Then I kind of walk 8 meters, and I'll just walk with this person. I mean, it's the most random thing. I'm halfway through my talk, and now I want to measure a room, and I kind of walk with them. Then I turn them around and say, okay, so that was 8 meters. Halfway would be what, about 4? Let's walk 4. Still got my hand on my back, but this time he's on this side of me, and I actually walk him, and we get to the 4 meters. Then I turn him around and I say, can you just put your hands like this for me quickly? And the person puts their hands. And without saying anything, all I do is I start pushing at them. I go at them straight away. And I try to push them back towards the other side. And at first, their whole body language is like, what the hell is this guy doing? Like, what's going on? And they will allow me to come. But then they realize, hey, and then they'll start trying to match my strength. And then here we are going backwards and forwards. And then I kind of stop and I come through and I say, right, why did you push against me? I say, well, you pushed against me. You know, like, yeah, but I was actually pushing you around the room the whole time. I pushed you 8 meters. I pushed you back 4 meters. I was pushing the whole way. Why now? So yeah, but you, and the basic idea is going aggressive at someone is a tool in the toolkit, 100%. You know, from when it comes to weapons and equipment and stuff, you know, I've got my knife, I've got my torch, you know, I've got my spare mag. I've got my toolkit, and going aggressive is a tool in the toolkit. But what I try and tell people is very often when we use it too quickly, we go too aggressive, we attack. And the problem is once you've attacked, I can't stop. I've got to actually be stronger to push this person across. And if I've misread the situation, this person's going to push me the other way. And I'm locked in this. So what I try to do in my own policing environment and my own conflict business world and interacting, like you say, just being in South Africa, we come across conflict all the time. I don't want to be the first one to escalate because it's hard for me to come back down. I know that I can match strength for strength. If you want to go, we can go, but I don't want to be the first one. So I would still, bearing that in mind, I'm still going to have that power pose. I still take up more space. I still stand like I'm ready. I often, when I'm talking to someone that might be a little bit more, I'm unsure, they're not in the trust category. They're actually in the predator category, and they've come up and they're asking me for something. So again, I'm not talking like this. I'm actually talking my hands here. So I have the conversation, we're chatting through, this is nice, and it's non-aggressive. But the moment if you had to try hit me, you're only going for my head because my body's covered. And I know you're going for my head. So now it's easier for me to block here and kind of then get to a weapon or just carry on the fight. So again, I watch where my hands are during the confrontation or the aggression. I mean, I see all these YouTube clips and people get into fights and you get this whole thing of a good friend of mine, Stephen Clark. You also follow him on the socials. He did all the, he helped me with my book and he did all of the graphics. And I was doing a thing about fight or flight. And he always talks about posturing. You know, we decide, do we fight or do we run away? Do we flee? And the third one is your posturing, because you're not sure what to do. So you kind of make yourself up big and you don't know, am I ready to fight you yet? Or I'm not quite ready to run away, but I'm not engaged. So we kind of make and you always see this in confrontations. Some guy comes up and why are you talking to me? And what does he end up doing? He puts his chest down and his chin out as far as you can. I mean, and as you know, this is the sensitive little uppercut so people forget the body language, the vulnerabilities. I can still have authority and say, hey, don't talk to me like that. And I can still have but my hands stay here. My head stays slightly down. Also, when my head goes down slightly, number one, it protects my chin. So you can't get the uppercut to knock me out straight away. But it also, straight away, it makes me look a little bit more determined in what I'm talking about. See, the moment hey, how's it going? If I lower my chin, I'm not quite aggressive, but I'm a lot more determined in my conversation point. So one of the techniques, keep your hands up, lower your chin slightly. It does give you that sense of kind of confidence and just makes you seem a little bit more intimidating. Definitely stand 1 foot off. Because again, the body language of a decent fight, it's hard to start fighting if your legs or if your feet are right next to each other. So definitely pull your 1 foot back slightly. So I'm still comfortable. I'm not aggressive. It's not like I'm standing here arguing with you like this. Hey, dude, you stole my parking place. No, I didn't steal your parking place. I'm actually saying, hey, I'm sorry if I stole your parking place. You understand? I don't want to go aggressive straight away. Hey, sorry about that. I didn't mean to steal your parking place. I apologize. Then I can actually defuse it because I don't have to stand there and argue with this guy for the next 30 minutes. And a lot of times I kind of find people that we escalate arguments for ego. And you end up I've got no idea this guy's got friends or not friends. And sometimes very often I've apologized for situations, even though someone else is in the wrong, because I just want to, it's not worth the argument. And I just want to go on with my day. So again, I kind of say to people, no, pick your fights. You can also see how aggressive someone is, and are you prepared to match that aggression? Because the moment you come up, there's no going back down. No, now it's in. Or if they're already at that point, do you just stay here and they will actually start to come back down? A verbal judo cue is something called, when people argue with you, you stole my parking and you're wrong, and you say, I appreciate that, I understand what you're saying, but you did steal my parking, or so I agree with what the person's saying. However, I still need you to leave. So for example, from a law enforcement thing, if someone's drinking in public, I would come up to him and say, sir, you can't drink in public. The guy argues, it's a free country, I can drink where I like, and what does it do, and don't you have something better to do? And I'm going to get all those things. Now I can start arguing about whether he pays my salary or doesn't pay my salary, and as a reservist, he definitely doesn't pay my salary because it's a volunteer. Now I can meet him, and I can start arguing about whether it's freedom of movement. I can have those arguments, or I can keep it here and say, I appreciate what you're saying. I understand what you're saying. No, you pay taxes. I understand all that. However, but I still need you to leave. You're not allowed to be here. Yeah, but I do this. Yes, yes, yes. I appreciate what you're saying, but I still need you to leave. See, I'm not arguing with you. I'm actually agreeing with every single thing that you're saying. I haven't said any. All I've said is I agree with you. However, I still need you to stop drinking. You still can't drink here. I still need you to go. Yes, it's going to take a little bit longer in the conversation, but guy comes down and moves off, as opposed to me matching up that energy straight away.
And it's worthwhile going through that effort. Because again, if you talk about escalating stuff, you never know who the other person is. You never know what they're capable of, what they're carrying, how willing they are to use what they're carrying. I saw a video yesterday, which in a way explains this, except there was no physical confrontation between the two. A guy drove past somebody else's house, saw a political banner on his fence somewhere that he didn't appreciate, stopped, reversed back, got out, ripped the banner off because he didn't like it, got into his car, and as he was going to drive away, the owner came storming out the house, like, what the hell are you doing? This guy took his pistol out and fired pot shots at him. I mean, seriously, the your factor is huge in that.
Yes.
That is now, to me, it's a similar kind of a thing. He was almost looking for a fight, and now he's probably going to spend quite a long time in jail for doing that, which is just silly. And that's how these things work. Somebody just comes up to you, it escalates, and you having a bad day, you have to think about these things, because it's easy to just jump the gun there and meet them at the same level. And it doesn't really end well for anybody, not in the age of cell phones with cameras.
Yes, 100%.
Absolutely. Okay, last point that I want to discuss with you, Dave. We're talking about body language in everyday life. Having applied all this knowledge now to everything, from literally parenting, relationships, personal safety, situational awareness, a topic that I'm especially always very keen on. Please, can you expand on the idea that being more observant of body language specifically, both our own, obviously, and others, how does it make us better communicators, better parents, and then ultimately safer in our daily lives?
Perfect. As far as parenting go, let me start on that one. I mean, there's a couple of things kids give off with their body language. And I actually had a situation with my own child the other day, and luckily, knowing some of these points, I could interject a bit. So number one, I mean, and working with kids on camp, if I see a whole bunch of kids out and I see one kid kind of sitting off because we're about to go on a hike or do a high rope activity, and I kind of see one kid distancing, that again, that's a distancing. They're nervous about what's going on. They might be scared of heights and they've started to move back a bit. Okay. So again, at that point, you go around and say, hey, you've got this. I'll make sure that I'm your instructor and bring them back in. When you see someone overdressed, they're very nervous. They're trying to protect themselves with extra layers of clothing. So, for example, you might have a relatively warm day. One of your students comes to the range and they're wearing 3 layers of clothes. And you might be like, aren't you going to get hot today? And you would have had that situation where you've actually said, hey, aren't you going to get hot today? No, you got a lot on. Chances are they're wearing the extra layers of clothes because it's that added, to them, it's that added layer of protection. They're just kind of distancing themselves from, and they've got that extra clothing, it's that extra layer of protection. And again, the moment I see a student, again, we're doing a high rope activity, they overdress for it. Again, I kind of pick up, they're not as comfortable. Then we look at someone that's like asking too many questions, or they consistently complain about small things. I get this when I'm about to arrest someone, for example. They start asking me all these questions very quickly because they're trying to delay me from arresting them. You know, where are we going? What is the charge? Why are we charging me? Do I get bail? They ask me all these questions because they're trying to delay me actually putting them into the van. Okay. So they're trying to delay it, or they argue about silly things all the time. So again, it's not that they're arguing about the points. They're nervous about, I'm just going to jail, and they're trying to delay that from taking place. Or again, if I'm about to abseil someone, so I've got students, we're abseiling, they'll ask me, how's the rope? Are you qualified? Is this rope strong enough? And they'll ask me all these questions. So again, instead of, I'm not going to start arguing about how thick the rope is and my qualifications. I'm just going to pick up that they're very nervous. So I'm going to say, hey, we got this. I've been doing this a long time. You'll be fine. Reassurance, and let them down. The situation I had with my daughter the other day is that I could hear her. She was trying to fit an apple into her lunchbox and it wasn't fitting. And the lid wasn't going down. And she was getting upset and she was trying to push it down. And this apple and this wide, and she was complaining about the size of apples and the size of lids and going to get. And naturally, everyone asked in my family, because I had other family members around visiting, and they like, just cut the apple in half. And they're trying to argue about it's got nothing to do with the apple. When I realized she's getting upset about this apple, and everyone else is still giving the advice, I realized, hold on, take her one side and say, Angel, what is going on? What is happening? Then I realized that the holidays have been over. She doesn't know whether the friendship groups, friendship dynamics are going to be the same, that she gets back and she's nervous about, is her friends, best friends from the last, before holidays still going to be there? It's got nothing to do with Apple. And very often when we pick up that someone's overdressed, they're asking all these questions, they're distancing back, it's got nothing to do with the Apple. It's got nothing to do with the abseil. They need that reassurance and that extra kind of guidance in that situation. So that's how you use body language from a parenting perspective, just picking up on those. And again, someone distancing, all the things that we've mentioned before. From a safety aspect, one of the things I like looking at, because I mean, and you guys teach it, you're always looking at surprise. Someone's going to attack you. They want surprise, speed, violence of action. So we all think that an attack on my house is going to be 5 guys walking down the driveway armed with AKs, and I've got time to see them, so I've got time to rush back to my safe and take out and get into action. Because that's, for some reason, that's how we see attacks happen. We forget that guys want the element of surprise. They want to surprise us. So they're going to come up to ring the gate and go, I've got a parcel for you. You know what I mean? They're going to stand there with a parcel. And because they want us to come to the gate, they want the element of surprise, and again, we do receive parcels all the time. I've got a parcel for you. We push the buttons, someone comes through. Now you want to look at the body language. Someone that is a professional delivery person, because remember, eyes give away a lot. Eyes start looking. You'll notice they're always looking down. They're looking around because they're scared of dogs, because they've been bitten by dogs. Every house they go to, some dog comes out and goes for them, and they're looking around to see where this dog is. is like a professional delivery service person. They always, because they get bitten every day. Their dogs come after them every day. It's part of their job, so they're always looking for dogs. Okay. Someone that's not actually, that's posing as a delivery person, you'll notice they're looking up a bit. I want to look at cameras. I want to look at witnesses around. I want to look at escape routes. They're not always looking down first. You know, they're kind of looking, eyes are still there. They're still looking around. They're trying to see what's there, what's around. But they're trying to take in their situational awareness. And it's normal.
They are
And again,
scanning
it's not
for
a deep
other things.
concept, but they're generally looking up as opposed to looking down for dogs. So I've normally picked up on some of those. And again, like I said, junk science, but 80% of the time it's there.
Yes.
Aggression part, when someone's about to hit you, they actually focus their eyes straight on you. They've looked around to see if they witness it, then they focus on you. And you'll see them bend their knees slightly because they need their knees coming. They've got to get their body behind someone so their knees bend. So those are two little points there. One, if someone's carrying a weapon, because very often suspects don't carry holsters very often. They've kind of got their gun and they've got it in their belt. So you'll see someone adjusting their belt the whole time. They kind of walk around, they adjust their belt because they're not used to the weight on their hip, number one, that they're not used to the weight. They don't ECD like we EDC everyday carry like kind of we do. And so they're not used to having the weight there. So you'll see them adjusting their belt a lot. Also, because it's uncomfortable not being in a holster. So again, they've got to kind of adjust. Or while they're arguing, while they come through, their elbow will kind of touch on their gun because it's that reassurance. They want to, it's what the Americans call that security check. They want to just double check that the gun is still there, and they'll keep that side of it closer to it while they argue, while they're walking through. So again, guys walking into your yard, you're looking at where they're looking, and there's someone adjusting a belt or that elbow that starts to kind of tuck down as to you. So those are some of the aggressive ones that we pick up on. And again, these things are universal. A few years ago, to end with a story, I did a ride along with the Boston gang unit in America, in Boston. And I was out there doing work with Boston PD and that. So I was actually doing a body language thing, but no one had told them body language. They just said, a policeman in South Africa is doing a ride along. So I'm in the back of their vehicle. So they're naturally telling me about how they do work, how they do things. And they straight away start educating me on body language on the streets. So they're telling me what they look for in gang units and what they look for as stuff. And I'm just like, oh, very interesting. Thank you. And I'm just taking in the information. I haven't told them that I do body language. I'm just taking the information. What's very interesting is that our training, what we've been trained with, or what we've learned on the streets in South Africa, what we've learned and realized, and what they've learned and trained, because there's been no correlation between the two. What they've picked up on the street matches what we've picked up on the street. This body language thing is universal. Here it was two cops, opposite sides of the world, have never spoken to each other, training modules completely different. All of a sudden, we're looking for the exact same things when we're out driving around and patrolling. It was just a very interesting that body language thing is universal.
Well, I mean, if anything proves that it's universal, there we go. There you have it. David, that was a highly interesting conversation, and I do trust that the viewers will find a lot of value in it. To end off with, where do people get hold of you, whether they want to book you for a seminar or whether they are interested in purchasing your books?
Book, perfect. So you can find me on LinkedIn. I'm at David J. Allen. And then I'm on Facebook, David Allen, or David Allen, professional author and speaker. So I've got my personal page, David Allen, professional author and speaker. My other Facebook page, David Allen, and then David J. Allen on LinkedIn.
On LinkedIn, okay. Well, for the viewers and the listeners, As always, this will be available on YouTube and on Spotify on the podcast. The podcast is called Quick Shots. On YouTube, the channel is Fortis Wits. Keep an eye out for it. Check it out. It's worthwhile taking in this information. It's very valuable stuff. It's something that it's part of life as breathing is. So the more info you have on it, quite frankly, the better. If you like the video, as always, do click on the like button, subscribe to the channel, and smash that bell icon for us so that you can get notifications of all our new videos coming out, including this one. And what I will be doing is I will be displaying Dave's contact details on the screen as well, so it will be there for the duration of the video. And if you are interested in any of the loan operator training courses, there's always a link in the video below in the description. Check it out. We look forward to meeting you on a range one of these days. Dave, thank you so much for your time. Much appreciated. Highly entertaining chat. Thank you.
Thank you. This was a lot of fun, and thank you for the invitation. And keep doing what you do, because you guys do amazing work, and I love following you guys.